Good morning, 7th grade Wildcats. Today's standard is algebra and functions. Apply the properties of operations, including identity, inverse, commutative, associative, distributive properties, to create equivalent linear expressions, including situations that involve factoring. For example, given 2x minus 10, create an equivalent expression, such as 2 times x minus 5, and then justify each step in the process. Today's question is select all expressions that are equivalent to 3x plus 5 times the quantity negative 4x plus 12 minus the quantity x minus 3. Before you begin answering your questions, let's talk a little bit about the testing environment again. The iLearn is a little different than iStep in the past, and it may or may not have a time limit the same as iStep did. So in that case, we need to be respectful to our peers that are still testing. So during a practice session or the actual session, we want to make sure that there's no talking, that we're staying seated, that there are no passes in or out of class, that you're working independently, and that when you are finished, you're not moving on until the time is up. And that may look like just sitting there quietly and waiting for others to finish. You will not be able to get out a book or get out pencil and paper to draw or to color or anything else. So part of why we're practicing this is not only to practice the questions, but also to practice the testing environment. So the time limit may not be as long as you need, or you may feel it's not long enough. And so we are not only practicing just for the questions, like I said, but we're practicing on getting ready for the testing environment. So really work on sitting quietly until the time is up and making sure you're being respectful to those that are still testing. Be sure to write down the question, show all work. You have 10 minutes. You may begin. time is up. Let's take a look at the answer. Select all expressions that are equivalent to the expression 3x plus 5 times the quantity negative 4x plus 12 minus the quantity x minus 3. To begin this problem, we can do a couple of different things. We can just simplify the original expression and then look for matches and then adapt accordingly based on what we get as our answer. So the first step would be 3x minus 20x plus 60, because we have to use the distributive property. And then right here on this last expression, this negative represents a negative 1, so we subtract 1x plus 3, because a negative times a positive is a negative, and a negative times a negative is a positive. Now we combine our like terms, and so our like terms in this case are 3x, negative 20x, and negative 1x. So when we combine those like terms, 3 minus 20 is negative 17, minus 1 is negative 18x, and then our other like terms are 60 plus 3, so we have 63. So you can see right away that this answer is equivalent, or is the same. Excuse me, I circled the wrong one. So A is definitely equivalent. Now then, the next thing to look at is our options on C and D. We know B is not because our signs are opposite. And then on C and D, if we combined our like terms, x plus x, that would only be 2x. And 3.1 plus 2.1 would only give us 5.2. And then 3.1 minus 2.1 would only give us 1. So in this case, the only answer that is equivalent to the expression would be letter A.